Are you always coming up with ideas? Do you marvel at successful business owners? Do you hate being told what to do? Ever take things apart just to see how they work? Are you a dreamer? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Pro Tapes and Specialties is the world leader in tape manufacturing and specialty conversion with over 40 years of experience. In addition to our pro brand of high-quality specialty adhesive tapes, we provide contract converting services that help improve your profitability, streamline your supply chain, and reduce inventory cost. We offer the most complete range of converting capabilities in the industry, such as cloth tape, double-coated tape, specialty tape, paper tape, masking tape,
vinyl tape, carton sealing tape, adhesive transfer tape, duct tape, foam tape, electrical tape, filament tape, foil tape, reflective tape.
And the tape just keeps on rolling. Visit us online today at www.protapes.com or call us at 800-345-0234. Pro Tapes, it's just how we roll.
Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Entrepreneur Enclave, Life's Coming Attraction. I am your host, Kevin Wortham. Listen, anytime I get to go back and talk to a brother in my younger years makes me feel good, lets us know that we are doing some great things. Baye, welcome to the platform, brother. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm wonderful, brother. I appreciate you having me on here.
Absolutely. Man. Well, you know, it's been a long time. We've been playing phone tag, so now we finally get a chance just to wrap and talk about all the great work that you're doing, particularly with your school and all your travel back and forth to the motherland, Africa. So how did this begin? Because I think the first time that I met you, this was at Notre Dame High School, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah,
but
go ahead.
But we didn't go to school together. I just want to make that clear.
Oh, wait, hold up. Now, I mean, if you went to school with him, that would be okay. That means you're older and wiser, right?
Well, that's true.
Okay.
That's true too. I'm just saying, you and I know. You and I know. Listen, audience, they don't know. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Respectfully, you were my elder,
yes.
Someone that had preceded me in name and stature at Notre Dame.
Yes, sir.
Man, we're probably, I think you got out in 83? Were you on that 83 team or you were before that?
I was 83, yes, sir.
Okay, so yeah, you were the infamous 1983
yes,
championship football team.
Well, no,
and then I was on.
It was 84 had the championship. We got close.
Well, 80. I think it was 80. No, it was 83 at Notre Dame.
No, it might have been 83, but it was really the class of 84 though, because I was.
Yes, of course they graduated in 84, but the football season in that winter of 83.
Yeah.
Right, because I was on the next state championship team in 1990.
Got you. Yes, because I remember coming back, and
right.
This was my way of trying to give back at Notre Dame, and so we had started a program called BASK. Blacks acclimating towards social success. Wow. And what I tried to do was every Wednesday I tried to come back. Well, not try. I came back to Notre Dame, and we would just have informal rap sessions because at that time, wanted to make sure that Black folks stayed connected to who we were and what our larger vision and mission was in terms of why we needed to gain and gather education. And I just wanted to make sure that we as Black folks had that opportunity, or Black students had that opportunity just to have an informal rap session and just to hang out and kind of feel good about ourselves. And so that was the simple impetus that Notre Dame allowed me to do, and Chappie, through his encouragement, allowed it to happen. So
it's so funny. It's
yes,
so
sir.
much I have to say on that situation.
Yes.
That's why I told you. You joked that before we got on the phone. You said we're going to go to Notre Dame and we'll go forward. I said I could spend the whole time talking about Notre Dame, only because there's so many aspects of it.
Yes.
Good and bad.
Yes,
Sir.
Yes, sir.
But this was one of the highlights of my high school career that actually propelled me forward into college and even having a certain vision that I have today. Like, that's how impactful what you did coming back. And what I recall, it wasn't a lot of sessions. I don't recall us meeting, but only like maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
Y'all met before, more than that. I only went to like maybe 2 or 3 meetings.
Yes.
But
Wow.
it was something about having all the black athletes in one location
Yes.
at one time with one voice that was specific for us.
Yes.
That was transformative for me as a black athlete, because that never happened at no setting at Notre Dame.
Wow.
There was no space that they ever put us together
Yes.
and had us have a conversation about us. You know what I'm saying? So that was the one time that I was able to like look left and right and was like, wow, this is very powerful and this could be very impactful looking forward. I also remember at the same time of the white students teasing us about being up there.
Yeah, in the balcony.
Right.
Yes.
You know, I remember the other feeling of being teased about it by other students. So many different, feelings about that experience. But what you did for me, I wrote it in my college application.
What?
That I was a member of this organization, and this organization was kind of like, yes, like that's how impactful it was.
Wow, brother.
When my application was going to college,
yes.
when I got accepted at Clark Atlanta University, I wrote about Bass.
Wow. Thank you, brother. Wow. I am humbled, brother. Thank you. Wow.
Yeah.
So take it away, man. So you fill out your college application. Which college did you go to?
I went to Clark Atlanta University.
Okay. And what was your major? What was your attended major?
That's funny. So I went into college like, I'm going to become a civil engineer.
Yes.
I'm going to do it.
Yes.
After my first semester, I was about to take like physics and calculus the next semester. I was like, I'm out. Like, never. That is not my role. I cannot do that.
Yes.
But I could think, and I really like putting things together, but I forgot all the preparation you needed, the class you needed to take. I couldn't do that.
Gotcha.
So I switched to English, and I was an English major for most of my time while I was at undergrad. And towards the end of my, maybe like end of my sophomore year, beginning of my junior year, I switched to history.
Okay.
And I graduated with a degree in history, like kind of like my degree says history education.
Yes.
Yeah. So from there, I worked for a few years, and then I went to grad school at Temple. So I moved to Philadelphia. I moved back to Trenton, then I moved to Philadelphia.
Yes.
And then I went to Temple, and I got my master's degree in educational administration.
Yes.
I got certified as a principal. And then I took some classes in the Africology department and studied under Dr. Malefi Asante and Dr. Norman and many of the brilliant black professors at Temple at the time. So that's my education. That's where
Wow. Now, personal question, if I may ask, when and why was the name change, and when did that happen?
Oh, wow. So I went through this brotherhood when I was in college called Kemit, or Asin.
Yes.
And when it was like an African brotherhood, and when we crossed or finished the process, we were given African names.
Yes.
And so I had the name Baye Kemit.
Yes.
I had some other names connected to it, but Baye Kemit is the name that I chose. But the last name, all of us had the last name Kemit.
Yes.
And so it was around 2002. I had worked in Philadelphia for some years, but around 2002, I wanted to legally change my name. I no longer wanted to have Jermaine Caldwell. And there was a particular principal when I worked at Granville. I don't want to say her name because many people in the community know her.
Yes.
But she just really challenged me a lot about my name. Like when I was coming from Philadelphia, they called me Baye Kemit. They didn't really teeter with the fact that that wasn't my legal name.
Yes.
It's like brother, what Kwame, and your name is, Tyrone.
Yes.
It's like that kind of thing. And so, she just kept really bothering me and bothering students. Don't call him Baye Kemit. His name is X, Y, and Z. And so I said, you know what? That really catapulted me to do it much quicker.
Got you.
And that started in August, and by October, I already filed my documents. So by the end of that year or the next year, my name's been Baye Kemit since 2002.
Yes, sir. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes,
so now, what does the Baye mean? If I'm understanding correctly, what does the whole name mean?
The name. So Kemet is the original name of Egypt, right? So
Yes.
we know that Egypt is a Greek word. the Greeks came in and like all the Europeans, they colonized the entire world and renamed it and reshape it in the way that they wanted to be seen. And so
Yes.
Kemet, or the Nile Valley, within the Nile Valley, Kemet was the name for Egypt. You had Kush, you had Nubia in that Nile Valley civilization.
Yes.
And Kemet meant the land of the blacks, or the black-skinned people. So if you see the people on the temples and the pyramids, these are black people. A lot of times when they teach Egyptian culture, they'll give you a certain period that was later in the years once Kemet was already colonized, and then they'll give you light-skinned Egyptians and mixed Egyptians, but they're original Kemetic people were very dark-skinned black people. Baye means straightforward. In other languages, Yoruba, it means like come with long life. Person is born with long life.
Got you. I love it, man. Thank you. So now when does this whole notion that you want to start the first foray into this entrepreneurial world of starting your own school, when did that come about?
That's a great question. So when I went to Clark Atlanta,
yes,
one summer, one of my Kemit brothers was telling me, I was telling him I wanted to start a school, because a lot of these brothers that were a part of Kemit, some of these brothers, they're all brilliant. One of the founding members of the organization Kemit is Eddie Glaude.
No,
a lot of people
from Princeton.
Yes, he's a founding member
Get
of
out
Kemit
of here.
when he was at Morehouse.
Yes.
There are quite a few well-known people who either went to Clark Atlanta, Morehouse, or Morris Brown, or later on Georgia State that joined Kemit that are like very pronounced and very known.
Yes.
Otis Moss the third is another one. He
Wow.
took over the church in Chicago after Jeremiah Wright,
Yes.
one of my Kemit sisters. So, very profound brothers that's in the organization, at least the ones that were in the very early years, I would say.
Okay.
And so in the middle of that, I got a summer job working in New York City, teaching at a summer program at a school called Riverdale Country School. Riverdale Country School is elite prep school in the Bronx, where JFK went when he was in middle school. I think Grant Hill's father went there, up in the Bronx. And so
Yes.
I worked there for 2 summers. And there's when I grew my affinity for wanting to work with students and really want to choose education.
Gotcha.
Subsequently, students that I was teaching there ended up getting shot and killed a few years later on the streets. And his story was very troubled and what have you. And that really is you know what? I need to see these kind of children. These are the kind of children I want to work with.
Yes.
And so that's when I really got on the course. That was in 1993. I got on the course and said, I'm going to open a school. And so, I worked in charter schools. I worked at Granville, worked at charter school in Philadelphia, and working in public education. I just this is not it. I know this is absolutely not it. What they're doing to black children and what black children need to be taught, I have to do it myself.
Yes.
And so I began to embark upon this journey of opening a school. And I was mentioning earlier that there were brothers in Kemit that actually had founded a school while they were in Morehouse College. While they were students at Morehouse, they actually opened an independent school.
Wow. In Atlanta.
I'm like, yes.
Wow.
I'm like, these guys are 20-something years old, and they've opened a school.
Wow.
So that always wow, I can do it myself. So around 2003 is when I actually embarked on not working no longer full-time in the public school, but I was going to start my own school. Yep.
Yes. Yes.
And we ran it for 16 years.
I love it.
My wife and I, we ran a school for 16 years, and we just Trenton had just run its course, in our lives, and for what we do. We really started moving ourselves out of education and really started working more towards our performing arts company.
Okay.
My wife has a degree in theater arts. She's a masterful artist, dancer, and writer, and choreographer. And so we had done plays that my wife was writing for our company. We were doing them at Pastor's Theater,
Yes.
and then they kind of took off, and then we were going up to Painted Bride in Philadelphia. Then we got asked to come to Atlanta. Then we were in D.C. Then next thing you know, we were in Richmond, Virginia, and then we were in New York City. You know what I'm saying? So we started moving around and started growing, and we were Trenton really didn't provide us the space and the environment
Understood.
to do what we were doing.
Understood.
West African dance and drum is just not vibrant in New Jersey and Mercer County.
In Trenton.
So we had to go.
Gotcha.
We had to go.
Yeah. And thank God for Facebook, because man, I feel like I am a part of you, because I can open up Facebook anytime, and you might be in some part of the country or you might be in Guyana, and I'm like, that's all right, brother. That is all right. So that you do the school. What were some of the challenges and some of your major accomplishments that you had while you had the school up and running?
Well, the challenges were always financial.
Yes.
You're dealing with, you're in Trenton with an African-centered philosophy. Now, before us, you had two African-centered institutions in Trenton. You had, actually three. You had African People's Action School was the most prominent.
Yes.
That was founded in 1976 out of African People's Action Movement, I believe it was called. They were an organization, a Pan-African organization, and later they turned it into an actual school.
Yes.
And then you had Timbuktu Academy.
Yes.
That was run on Stuyvesant Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
But the progenitor of all of them was a school called New Approach Method, NAM, which was run on Taylor Street, which became Little People's College.
Oh, yeah.
And then subsequently, it became the Garvey School.
Yes.
So that building on Taylor Street, which we are still in contention with the city of trying to get them to give it to us and lease it to us or sell it to us, however it goes. But that we want to be the institution that will continue to provide educational programs in that building.
Yes.
So there's a long story, the owners and the whole situation. But the point is that they were the founding African Center School in 1969 in that building. And then and I went there. This is very interestingly, I went there in preschool for 2 years. And so this brother from New York City, Greg Sims, came to Trenton with a new approach to teaching math and doing educational, his own educational curriculum.
Yes.
For like preschool. And so a lot of kids went there, and then they went on to public school, or they went to other private schools, and then APAS, and then Timbuktu, and then us. So we were kind of like a legacy of African-centered schools that already existed here. So I have to give honor to the ones that came before us.
Very true.
But a lot of them also closed down because of funding. It's very hard to, the tuition-based institutions don't really do well. And then with the inception of charter schools, that decimated private schools. It decimated many Catholic schools had to close because of charter schools. And then your smaller independent schools, they just didn't survive because people just started going to charter schools. It was free,
Gotcha.
And so that was on our challenges. And just being in an urban environment with an African-centered, curriculum wasn't really exciting to people. Like in a city like Trenton, where we know that 11% of the people have a college education or graduated from college.
Yes.
You don't really get a lot of people that's excited about an African-centered, curriculum.
Yes.
They're really like, look, I'm gonna put my child in school. I have to go to work. This is not really the environment for that. So that was a challenge. And our successes was, man, just being able to get students that probably had no other choice. They didn't want to go to Trenton High. Many of the charter schools started closing down. I was in the right place at the right time because Granville Charter decided they were going to close down. And I think it was Young Scholars Institute, Trenton Community decided they weren't going to go and have a high school. So that was like maybe 600 kids that were looking for a school. And I was able to filter like maybe 10 of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I started my school that year. I was in the right place at the right time.
Well, you know what, brother? Even though you're not in the game now, if you were to do programming now, I think that you would really be able to have a groundswell, because now everybody, since this pandemic, everybody wants to understand more of their Afrocentric history and understanding and where we belong and how we fit in. And I think even if you did an after school program or some type of session, you would do well now, man.
Well, I'm not in that space anymore, brother. That's not what I
understood.
Yeah, my work is still in education.
Yes.
I am the national facilitator. So I was mentioning about African People's Action School, Timbuktu, the New Approach Method, where they're a part of a consortium of African-centered schools throughout the nation called the Council of Independent Black Institutions, which was founded in 1972. And so we have a consortium of schools all throughout the world, actually Ghana and the Caribbean schools in California, Chicago, flagship institutions. The oldest institution, longest running African Center school is in D.C., Ujamaa School, which was started in 1968, still currently running. But these schools have been, again, populations have been decimated.
Yes.
In its heyday, in the 80s, these schools, some of them could have 300-400 students. That's like the size of all charter school now. They would have 152, 300 schools. And then the schools would get together regionally and have science expositions.
Yes.
And these science expos were designed to solve problems that will help the Black community specifically.
Yes.
So their science fairs were not to come and see if you could put a light bulb in a potato and it'll light up. No, they had to create a project that would solve a issue within the African community. So you had children thinking about how they can, just all kinds of myriad of ideas in terms of recycling and making their environment better. So that's what the kind of work that I'm involved in. I'm now the president of that institution.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Yes.
My wife went to African People's Action School. So while I was bopping around PJ Hill Junior 2, and then I went to Notre Dame, which was a whole nother culture shock. Going from, I was in public school all my life around all Black children.
Yes.
And in 9th grade, I went to an all white, predominantly white Catholic high school.
Yes.
That's a shock to your system.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my wife did the reverse. She went to African People's Action School and was rooted in Pan-Africanism from birth up until 5th grade. Then she went to Pennsbury schools.
Yes.
So
wow.
Very, yeah.
Now, but you do see why there could be there is a major need for us to have schools like yours now?
Well, that's two things that you said. One, before you were saying you think there will be a groundswell, and I disagree.
Okay.
But let me not say it that way. I have another position I would like to offer. No, because I don't. It's not about disagreement. We build conversations, so it's not about my disagreement. Let me say that different.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to add on to what that comment, in the sense that our schools technically should be about the advancement of our people. Wherever you send your children to school, it should be about. So the purpose of education is to secure the survival of a people.
Yes.
All right. You are creating a technology. You're creating a agriculture. You're creating some type of social political structure that is going to allow your people to survive and thrive in that economy.
Yes.
Right. Or in that culture. But for African people, Black people in America, we're just going to school because it's rote. That's what we're supposed to do. Send your child to school, and that's pretty much it. And nothing in school is really teaching them to be powerful or for their own community. And so when we look at Kwanzaa, for example, and you look at the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, how is that being actualized in the curriculum? Our children need to be able to see themselves in the curriculum and think about how they can improve their conditions every single day. That's really what school should be about. Yes. At no point should we be learning anything other than how we can have better health, how we can have less crime, how we can have stronger families, how we can have, how we can improve our economy, how we can build where our dollars can circulate in our community 6 and 7 times before it leaves. We need to have a strategic education about our growth and development.
Yes.
And so that's very important for me. And so I don't think our people, well, it all depends on what city you're in. In Atlanta, there are several African Center schools. There are even just as many African Center homeschooling cooperatives.
Wow. And
Trenton is not even close to, there was like one homeschool cooperative, and she actually was struggling with her numbers, Sister Kaya Green. All right. Other than that, it's very hard for people to think about, like during the pandemic, as you mentioned, of course, they were taking their children out of school. And there is a certain percentage of people who decided to keep their children home.
Yes.
I'm sure in Trenton is much smaller, but nationally it was about 11%. People said, no, I'm leaving my children home. But people in Trenton have to go to work. They don't have that kind of economy in Trenton, whereas in Atlanta, most of my children's friends, they're all homeschooled. It's like about 20 or 30 of them. Gotcha. They're all homeschooled. And guess what they do with their time? The children dance, they act, they perform, they travel, they have a different type of lifestyle than the average child in Trenton. So I don't want to belabor the point. But I just want to put that out there.
No, this is good, man. We got time, man. We got time. This is good, man. This is good. Wow. Okay.
So you mentioned about Africa earlier. So it went hand in hand. So when I left Notre Dame, very interesting. Notre Dame was we have to have another conversation another time. And I know your connection with Notre Dame is different from mine. You're in the Hall of Fame, right? Like your name's written on the wall. I remember one time I had a track record, and I tied Dave Cook.
Yes.
Right? I didn't even break it. I tied it.
Yes.
I saw him one time, and I was all happy. I was like, "Oh my God, Dave Cook, man! I tied your record, man! In track."
Yes.
And he was like, "That was 10 years ago." Like he was so unexcited. He cared less about my comment. He was like, "Look, stayed up there for 10 years. Like, what? Come on, bro." And but when I was at Notre Dame, and even now, Notre Dame, I have a student that goes there.
Yes.
That I used to coach. And his father's telling me it's one black teacher at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah, one. Yeah.
And when I was there were two.
Were there?
So when I graduated in 91.
Okay.
And from 91 to 2003, it's never been more than 5 at one time.
Yeah. No. You're right.
Yeah.
I don't even remember. I don't even remember the 2.
Yeah, I had Darren Rim. He played with you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But he don't count though. And
why?
No, the reason why I say he don't count is because he was part of the track though, right? I mean, Chappie was already recruiting him. He already had an inside track that he was going to come back and do some coaching and do some teaching. That's why.
Well, I would say he counts because he was my teacher. But go ahead, I got you.
Okay, I'm just saying a joker just outside that Notre Dame specifically is trying to recruit.
Yes.
Didn't happen.
No, and there was a woman. I don't know. I forget her name. I remember what she looked like, but she just was like a resource teacher or maybe a counselor. I don't know. She was subject. I never had her as a teacher. I forget. But so when I was at Notre Dame, of course, we already knew that environment. We just know in the 90s it was worse than it was. In the 80s, I'm sure in the early 80s it was worse than my time. In the 90s it was bad. But now, it's kind of interesting with hip hop. I see the children interact very differently than we were in school. Rock and roll was the thing, and so that was kind of like the culture.
Yeah.
But now with hip hop, it kind of blends the cultures a little bit. But I'm just saying that when I left there, I didn't really have nobody at Notre Dame other than that BAS program really put me in a trajectory to think about being a black man and what that meant and how to process that.
Wow.
I never had time to slow down and read about myself because they were, we read about Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah.
And they'll give you the canon at Notre Dame, you know what I'm saying? And John Steinbeck and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I just never connected with it. Hamlet, Macbeth, nothing. I just never, ever connected with me. None of it. I just never, I was just, but I was very bright. I was very smart. I got good grades at Notre Dame. It was something brewing in me. My brother was a 5%er.
Got you.
And I was very into hip hop.
Yes.
So you talking about when I enter school, I'm listening to KRS-One every day, Rakim. I'm listening to Big Daddy Kane. I'm listening to Biz Markie. I'm listening to Tribe Called Quest and Jungle Brothers. And I'm starting to learn about Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey, names I heard them, but just never connected, didn't know who they were, which is a shame. I'm in high school and I don't know who Marcus Garvey is or Malcolm X.
Wow.
I didn't know who they were. That was not the thing for us to know about that. So I didn't learn about it in middle school, elementary school, and now I'm in high school. His movie was about to come out, Malcolm X. I think it came out like 91 or 90, 93, somewhere around there. And so they were talking about his movie. They were giving him a stamp. All this was kind of like a conversation when I was coming out of high school. And I went to Mr. Rim. I was like, yo, I want to learn about Malcolm X. He's like, yeah, I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. You need to read it, X, Y, and Z. But I graduated about a year later, and I knew I didn't want, So to make a longer story short, my mother went to 7-Eleven one day. It's a great story. Let me tell it quickly, though. Right across from Stokes School.
Yes.
There used to be a 7-Eleven there.
Yes.
My mom went in there one morning for coffee, and she get to talking to people, and she met this woman, and this woman said, well, listen, I have this new program down on West State Street. It's called Young Scholars Institute.
Yeah,
have your son come down. Right. Have your son come down and get some applications. This is when she was on upstairs and just two little rooms, little offices. It was not developed or anything like that.
Yes.
I went down there, got some applications. I applied to all these black colleges, and subsequently I ended up going to CAU.
Yes.
And so once I got into Clark, that's when my life changed 180 degrees.
Wow.
It's almost overnight.
Wow.
Overnight. Like, I went there, and when the first, like, I would say month I was there, I was around these Kemit brothers, because
Yes.
my brother Isaac Ewell was a roommate with one of the Kemit brothers.
Yes.
And so Isaac was around them. And my first week, I went to a lecture at Georgia Tech
Yes.
to go see this man named Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen.
Yes.
I didn't know who this man was, never heard of him in my life. And I'm sitting there, and I don't know what this man is talking about. Ancient Kemet and the Hyksos and all this, and the Persians and the, and Jesus. I didn't know what this man was talking about, but I knew I needed to know.
Got you.
And that started that. From that night, I just started buying books and just really just engulfed myself into learning about African culture.
Yes.
And so it just set me on a trajectory to kind of change my life and and led me to Kemet and led me to just who I became. And so in 2005, after I opened the Garvey School, I was like, I run an African Center school, and I've never been to Africa. Like, something's wrong here.
Yes.
So I decided to go. So I went to Africa in 2005. In the middle of school year, I just had to go. I said, I'm going right now. We're in the middle of school. I went to Ghana. I couldn't take it no more. I had to go.
Okay.
I went to Ghana for leaving less than a week. I just went for a couple of days. And oh my God, it was like a movie. It was like a whole year, but it was only a couple of days.
Yes.
So amazing. And I didn't go back to Africa again until 2012. I went to Guinea for a month with my family, and we were there studying African dance and drum, which is a whole nother situation. It was so great, transformed our lives.
Yes.
And then I went and started in 2014. I went back, and that's when I started my tours. So I went with a small group, and then every year I would go back and I would take more people. And I've been going back every year. The only year I haven't gone is the pandemic year, but I go every year, and I take groups as large as 20 some odd people, as small as 10 or so, or 8.
Wow.
But I go intermittently. So the other day when we were talking, I was in Ghana.
Yes.
And I just got back yesterday. So I go because I have other business and things that I'm doing. I really am trying to plant my life in Ghana and my family's life in Ghana, so that we can have the ability to move back and forth.
Yes.
Dual citizenship is something I would definitely love to have, and I'm working towards. And just building on, just our not investments, but our ideas and goals within Ghana and Nigeria. I go to Nigeria just as much as I go to Ghana. And I'm in Osun State, which is a particular city called Oshogbo. And so studying Nigerian culture, I practice a Nigerian African spiritual tradition.
Yes.
And in fact, I'm initiated into that tradition. It's called Ifa. All right. And I speak Yoruba, and I train, in the tradition. Right. But in Ghana, I don't do any of that. I'm there purely as a tourist.
Okay.
Purely doing business as a tourist. I just love Ghana. It's an amazing place. It is very palatable for African Americans to go back and to get the full African experience, but also still have the American, amenities that we like to have as Americans. It's a very beautiful place, and the people are amazing, both in Nigeria and in Ghana. People are amazing. The culture is amazing. The weather is amazing. The food is amazing. Every day is just it's the only time in your life, Kevin, that you'll ever feel free.
Wow.
Go to Africa, and you are a free person. You're a free human being.
Say more about that.
Like,
what does that mean to you when you go there? Or what does that mean to you?
You don't, first of all, you're not up against any violence.
Yes.
In terms of looking left and right. You don't feel like an N-word. Nobody's following you. Nobody's noticing you. Almost feel like Ralph Ellison's book, The Invisible Man.
Okay.
It's like You can move around, and other than the fact that you're an American and they can see you look like green money, you know, even though their money is not green, their money has faces with African leaders on there, with Kwame Nkrumah and the Big Five are on their own money, all their denominations of money. So beautiful.
Yes.
But to go there and just not hear police sirens, ambulances per se, you know, nobody's shooting guns.
Yes.
You know, nobody is just being mean to you. Nobody's fighting. You know, not saying these things don't exist, but they're just not in the public eye. You know, nobody's fighting and just being rude and just, you can just go and just relax.
Got you.
You know, just go and just put your guard down. And for the most part, ain't nobody really trying to steal nothing from you. We took Leslie Sanders. I'm sorry, I should have put her name out there, but she put it. It's not, if you know her, it was her. She put it on her Facebook page. But we took her last year to Ghana, and she lost her passport the second day there. And we were going around the whole market, and we were letting people know these people they had a like all points bulletin in the market for her passport. They had a meeting with all the vendors. They were passing around newsletter. This woman, like, that's how serious they were about finding this woman's passport. Subsequently, she didn't even lose it there. She lost it in like another part, like Midtown Accra. So a couple of days later, we go to the U.S. Embassy, like, oh man, we got to go get her another passport.
Yes.
So we called the embassy. They said, this is the instructions. Do this and then call us. We called, and I mentioned her name. The person said her last name. And I was like, I thought your last, she's like, oh, I have this last name on there. Somebody returned her passport to the U.S. Embassy.
Wow.
That's not happening in New York City.
No. Somebody going to copy it and use it.
That's not happening in New York City. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's just that kind of like hospitality. You know, everybody has their stories, but even Meek Mills was just in Ghana. He lost his cell phone, and he posted that he thought somebody stole it. I immediately called my son. I said, you see this? I said, I promise you, nobody stole his phone, bro. Mm-hmm. I promise you. And a couple of days later, he issued an apology. Yep. He was riding a dirt bike. His phone fell, and somebody found it and returned it to him.
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying in terms of, like, you can go, you can relax, and you don't have to rush. You know, you can live a lifestyle that is like, you know, with your economy that we have here, you can retire.
Yes.
Even if you're on disability, even if you only collect the Social Security,
yes,
you can go to Ghana and you can have a house and someone to clean your house, and you can farm and you can have fresh mangoes and pineapples and plantain and corn and collards and wherever you need right there. It's just amazing. It's an amazing experience.
And it's amazing that you just mentioned Meek Mills, because I just saw on Facebook earlier today that he wants to start doing more tours back to Africa.
Yeah, I mean, Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, he wants to do some more. I forgot what his tours are called, but he wants to do more of his community tours over in Africa now.
Stevie Wonder building a house and deciding to retire there. Okay. Of course, Rita Marley has a house up in an area called Bree. You know, Dave Chappelle is talking about moving there.
Yes.
I mean, you just go on and on about the people that are down in, you know, in Ghana. So yes. My brother, I have to shout him out, Diallo Sumbri, very interestingly, is from Trenton, went to African People's Action School. Yes. Shout out to his mother, Mama Makini. He is like a mover and shaker in Ghana. You know, okay. Brother, they moved down to D.C., but this brother is the head of Ghana tourism for the United States. He's very connected to the African ancestry. He does big tours. He takes 200 and 300 people over to Ghana.
Wow. He too
is initiated priest in the Akan tradition. I was mentioned earlier, I'm an initiated priest in the Ifa tradition. That's in Nigeria.
Gotcha.
He's an initiated priest in Akan tradition. So there's a large contingent of us who are now going back to Africa and studying the traditional spiritual systems that our ancestors were snatched from. Yes. Not necessarily that they put down or walked away from, but they were snatched from and forced to practice a whole entire other religion and culture.
Yes.
So we go back now, and they're there. They're present. They're not like hidden anywhere. They're very present. Of course, they're being swamped by Islam and Christianity, yes. But they're very present, and they're prominent in these particular countries. And so, you know, he initiated recently, and at his initiation, he had Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade there.
Okay.
You can actually look it up. It's a picture of them together, and another good brother of mine who's in the picture who brought them over there. I went to Clark Atlanta with him. So, it's like, that's another thing of moving out of Trenton. When you move to Atlanta, you're around another echelon of people that is in Trenton, it's like 19 people away from that actual person.
Yeah.
It's like Atlanta. You're like right there. Like, you're like right there. Like that's the person right there.
You said 19 people away.
Right. And the beautiful thing about it, because Atlanta's the city too busy to hate, right, is that there's a person in between y'all, and they really don't mind introducing you to that person.
I love it, man. I love it.
And they will work to make sure that y'all network and say, you run a school? Oh, you do African dance? I got to call my friend. She's the director of the Clayton County, such, and then it happens like that. And the person is like, oh, you know this person? Now we're working.
Yes. Yeah. And that's been one of the challenges that we talk about being here in Trenton, but we won't get into that. But you are saying so many things that are so exciting. I'm excited for you. So let's just take a break, because there's one thing that I wanted to say to you is you failed to mention that you are also an accomplished DJ. And so when you were talking about getting into rap, you didn't mention that you also started the DJing business. I wanted you to talk about that too.
Well, my love for hip hop is I'm reading a book right now called sitting here right next to me. It's called My Brother's Name is Kenny.
Yes.
You have to read it.
Okay.
It's written by Kenny Parker, is the brother of KRS-One.
Okay.
And the story is I'm going to be promoting this book. If you work with young boys,
I do sometimes. Okay.
You have to have these boys read this book. It is a book of despair, poverty, abuse, neglect. New York City in the late 70s, where it's this crime-ridden, right? Everything you could think of, Kenny Parker and KRS-One, Larry Parker, went through it. And our KRS-One was already homeless, but so was Kenny Parker.
Yes, well, I don't know Kenny Parker, but I know KRS-One.
His brother, he became a DJ in the 09, others, all that kind of stuff. And so, and then they're like successful people now. Of course, Kenny Parker played ball at St. Peter's. Mm-hmm. He was there, I think, when Tanya Grant was there. He played on the men's team. She played on the girls' team. And Heather B came after that and the whole nine. But I'm saying all that to say is that time period is really what shaped and molded me. You know?
Yes.
Run DMC, like when Run DMC came out, it's like the world changed. You know what I mean? Like I just wanted to be a B-boy and just wanted to be Run. Me and my brother used to be in a mirror and we would take turns and run, and who would be DMC, and we would argue about he got more verses than me. Like we just loved Run DMC. Yeah. But my brother was the original DJ. So he was, he started DJing first. And, I grew up in Wilbur Section, man. So we was highly artistic. We played ball, but, we had block parties in my community, in 82, 83, and so Garfield Park, they would block off Walnut. They block off East State Park, East State Star, all that area.
Oh, yeah.
And Ward Avenue. And, we would come out and just the whole community would come out. And they would bring their systems out, and we would rock, man. And it was just so great to be able to break dance and, and just look at MCs rock the mic and listen to new music that you never before. You can't really hear because wasn't on the radio. Yeah. So you had to go to the park to hear, it was a beautiful time. And so it was my rock, man. And so I grew up in it. I grew up with every new song, I grew up in it. And so around 1994, I started taking it seriously.
Yes.
And started buying records and really, got my Technique 1200s and really took it seriously. So, yep. That's it, man. I love it. I'm a DJ today. I have a party coming up, my 50th, party, and I'm definitely getting on the wheels.
Now, let me ask this question. Now, when you go to Ghana, do you ever take your turntables with you sometimes?
No, never.
No. Do you think they would appreciate that part of your life?
Nah, I'm not. No, they don't really. No, I'm not there for that reason.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
I'm not trying to throw no parties or.
Gotcha.
That's this young generation. Nah, I'm good. They got that all that No.
Okay.
I get tired after a certain amount. I want to go home, bro.
Yeah, you got to do yourself a day party. Us old folks, we appreciate day parties.
Exactly. But I don't party.
No?
No, when I go over there, no, I ain't. Not even say I don't party. I don't really party. I don't really want. Only time I party is when I take my tours over,
Gotcha.
and on a certain Saturday night or so, they all want to go out,
Gotcha.
and we'll take them out so they can experience Ghana.
Yes.
So when I'm over Ghana by myself, I don't go to no clubs. No, man.
Gotcha.
No,
Gotcha.
I go out, handle my business, party a little bit. You know, I'm trying to make moves,
Yes.
meet the people, talk to people, shake hands. You know, ain't so much trying to like, you know. No, I'm not there for that.
Understood. So let's take another break. Give us on the podcast now. Give us your contact information if folks want to follow you on Instagram, Facebook, and be in touch with you.
I'm Baye Kemit, BayeKemit. You can follow me on Instagram. I don't really accept a lot of friend requests on Facebook. In fact, I'm trying to erase a bunch of people. So you know, if you send me a request on Facebook, I'm really trying to reduce my base to people that I like really, you know, talk to and deal with. Because Facebook content is different from Instagram, but another subject. But my biggest thing is there's a different vibration, you know, book people versus Instagram. Instagram is more artsy. You know, people are more attached to your business and that kind of stuff. Facebook is just about, you know, social content.
Gotcha.
And people want to argue and comment and that kind of stuff. I don't have time for that. But Egun Omode, our performing arts group, EGUN, and Omode, OMODE. It means children of the ancestors in Yoruba.
Yes.
Egun Omode. And so that is what I would like for people to follow, because, you know, you can see the work that we're doing. This year, we're planning on taking about 15 of our students to Nigeria to train shekere. Shekere is, you know, the gourd, the instrument of the gourd. My wife makes shekere.
Yes.
She makes instruments and things of that nature. And so we're fundraising for that. We have a GoFundMe. You can find that on our page or what have you. But also that we're also coming to Trenton at the end of February. We're being invited by the Lawrenceville School to headline their Afro Fest that they're having next month.
Oh, wonderful, man! Wonderful.
Yes. They're bringing our entire group, but we have about 15. We have about 13 youth.
Yes.
Perform. Our children is about 6 of them. Our children, you know, they dance, drum.
You mean your personal children?
Yeah, my personal children.
Yeah, okay. That's all right.
It's my wife.
Yeah.
My wife and I, my daughter, my 3 daughters and my son. We perform. We're all performing artists. So
yes. Okay.
I told you before, my wife is, you know, was a dancer, but my daughter dances. My son is a very, very well accomplished drummer.
Yes.
My middle daughter, she danced. I mean, if you follow my page, you'll probably, people know my children, they dance. My youngest daughter was in. She had a very small part in Coming to America Part 2.
Okay.
She was actually on set. She was chosen, so it was like maybe about 150, 200 children came to Atlanta to audition for this part, and they chose 3 girls. They narrowed it down to 3 girls. 2 were my daughters, and 1 was another daughter.
Wow.
Another black. 2 were my daughters, and 1 was another black girl. They narrowed it down to those 3,
wow.
and they were going to pick 2. They picked one of my daughters and the other girl.
That's
so one of my
man.
daughters,
Yes.
my middle daughter didn't get chosen, but my baby daughter got chosen. But the interesting thing is that my older daughter was actually a better dancer. So it's so funny. It was, you know, in our household, it was some tension, but it was all good though, because we had to talk to him about it.
Yes.
But yeah, it was a beautiful experience for her, man. She was on, she was on Tyler Perry's studio. Subsequently, I didn't go. I normally take my children to set. And I went to Trenton because I had some work to do with owls and Trenton. So my wife was like, "Oh, I guess I gotta go." So my wife was able to go to Tyler Perry Studios, and I'm like, I'm the one that would go. I was taking all kind of pictures.
Yes.
I'd had my daughter take pictures with the entire cast. My wife don't do none of that, so she only got like 5 pictures of my daughter there. And her trailer's right across from John Amos. So she took a picture of John Amos. She's right across from Arsenio. Like, she's like, In Vogue is walking by, and there's, she's on the phone with me. Oh, this is In Vogue. Take a picture.
She's
like, no, you're not supposed to. So, you know, but I'm saying, again, back to my original point, right? We had, like, that couldn't have happened. We were in Trenton.
Very true.
Can't just get up and go to an audition downtown Atlanta tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And that's how we found out. I was like, oh, it's tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what does the future look like for you and your family the next 3 years from now, brother?
Our children, we have two. I have two children in college. They both go to Clark Atlanta University. My son Ezekiel Ray and my daughter Akosua.
Yes.
And our daughter Akosua, she travels. She's been to. All of my children have been to Africa.
Okay.
But some have been 2 times. My daughter's been 3 times. In fact, she is invited by Clark Atlanta to go to Ghana last March. She was there. She spoke on a symposium for the university and the whole nine. I mean, just we're so so excited about the things our children are doing.
Yes.
So it's really our children. My son Ayanfe, he was a finalist for Simba on Broadway.
What?
And I was called. Yeah, I was calling Kathy Jones. She's probably the only person I know is outside our family.
Yes.
He was a finalist for Simba. I mean, it was like 900 kids that went up to the Apollo to audition and stuff. My wife just sent the tape in, and they asked them to come to New York City. We were on our college tour when we got the call, and you have to come tomorrow.
Yes.
We were in Greensboro going to Atlanta. We had to stop. We had to get off the stop. We had to plan. We had to figure this out ASAP. My wife had to get off. We had to rent her a car. She had to drive back to Trenton. We had to get her a hotel. She had to go to it was crazy.
Wow.
And my son got narrowed down to the last 2, and they chose another kid who actually he became friends with later on, but they chose another kid.
Wow. But it's what you got to do. What you got to do.
Yeah, it's what you got to do, you know? And then they called him back the next year. You do it all over again.
Yes.
So anyway, that didn't happen. But this year, my son was chosen to perform at Dance Africa. Now, Dance Africa is at a place called Brooklyn Academy of Music. It happens every Memorial Day weekend.
Yes.
And they bring some of the greatest African dance companies from all over the world to this place. It's like the Grammys for African dance.
Okay.
All right. It's a 4-day performance, and it's huge in New York City. My son performed this year at 15 years old. And it was just amazing to go watch. I went to almost every show. It was like 7 shows. I was there for like 5 of them. And
proud daddy. Yes,
and I just flew up and stayed. I stayed in New York City and followed my son around, man. It's so beautiful that he was 15.
Yes.
I could follow my son around New York City, man, And so then my middle daughter dances with a brother named Anthony Burrell. Anthony Burrell out of Philadelphia. He's well-known. He's a well-known choreographer, but he's well-known for choreographing the halftime show for Beyonce when she was in the Super Bowl years ago.
Yes.
So this guy's our children's dance teacher here in Atlanta.
Okay.
And so funny, their assistant dance teacher is Shaheed Watson's son.
Wait. Shaheed has a son that dances?
Man, Shaheed Watson lives around a corner from me in Atlanta, bro. I bump into him all the time down here. It's so hilarious, bro. It is so hilarious, yo. Word.
Oh,
and I'm a football referee. I'm a football and basketball referee. I don't know if you know that.
No, I didn't know that.
I'm like a Jamaican. I just keep going on. I'm a registered farmer in the state of Georgia.
Okay.
I raise chickens and goats and pigeons down here.
Okay.
I do a lot, bro. My life is really.
No, that's okay. That's okay, man.
I'm a true Pisces.
Yeah. I've got some contacts in the Atlanta area. I got to put you in contact with some of those guys too. Yeah.
Oh, please, man.
Yeah.
I definitely. But I run into Shaheed all the time, man. I run into him. I'll be doing football games. I was going to mention, and he, I guess somebody in his family goes to Tri-Cities High School, and he'd be in the crowd. I'm like,
wow.
Because
Because I know every year in the summer they do this big cigar smoke, and they do a big kickball where folks from Trenton come down to Atlanta, and it's almost like 100 and some people that go down.
It's called the I'm on a committee. It's called the Trenton Makes Atlanta.
Yeah. Man.
But there's no kickball though. It's not kickball.
What is it?
It's a cookout.
Oh, well, I thought it was kickball or something else. Well, I saw pictures of kickball.
They might have been playing like kickball, but it's just it's a big cookout. They rent a little pavilion at the park.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We put all our money together. People send donations.
Yeah.
We put all the food together. We cook it up, give it out to the people, and just, have DJs, and we just rock out. But the night before that, Nina Dawkins, and it's Nina, and I don't want to leave nobody's name out. Oh Lord, I'm drawing a blank. But I know Nina.
That's
One of the
that's because you're getting older, brother. That's all.
yeah, definitely. They do their comedy special down here.
Yes.
Oh my God, what's her name? She's gonna kill me because I see her face in my head. But they do their comedy special.
Yolanda?
Oh, Yolanda, yes. Oh my God, thank you. Sorry, Yolanda. I just looked at her page the other day. I saw her, maybe not her page, but I saw her in a picture.
Yeah.
And they do their comedy special down here the night before that event.
Got you.
So it's really nice. A nice little weekend. You see people you ain't seeing wow, man. And brother, oh my God, you mentioned this. It popped in my head. The last one I went to, I spoke for a very, very long time with my brother Dean Good.
Oh wow.
And I spoke for a very long time with my man Jackson. I can forget his first name, just went out my head. Jonathan Jackson, brother. But and they both passed within a couple of that event.
Yes.
Oh my God, it was insane, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a good time to see people. I just want to say that.
Yeah. No, listen, man, you are doing your thing, brother. I am so proud of you. This is so exciting. Now, based on those sites that you gave me, people they can follow you, keep in touch with you, even if they want to go and travel with you when you do your travel tours.
Most certainly. Most certainly. Yeah. So they can follow us and stuff. Yep.
Any final words that you want to share with the listening audience? Any books that you suggest that we need to read to understand more about who we are in our African culture? I mean, anything that you want us to know? Because this has been fantastic, man.
I would say that right now, one of the leading voices that I listen to on a regular, and I know this person personally, is Dr. Kumathi Carr, Dr. Greg Carr. Okay. He does a weekly show every Saturday called In Class with Carr, along with, why am I drawing a blank tonight? Hunter. I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, but In Class with Carr every Saturday. Okay. And it's one of the most remarkable discussions on just any topic that they come up with every week. Karen Hunter, their name, Karen Hunter.
Got you.
So they, that I would like for our people to put our children in front of Dr. Carr. I think that some of the mothers need to sit down, some of the brothers need to sit down and kind of really just create a plan for their family.
Yes.
Like listen to these things, but all right, that's one. That was one example. But another example is that the mission and work that we did at the Garvey School, now even expanded beyond that, is that we really try to create missions for help families create missions for their families.
Yes.
Like, what is their family mission statement? Families should have a mission statement.
Yes.
They should be able to know what their purpose is on planet, what their purpose is on this planet, and what they want their great grandchildren to do.
Yes.
What they should think, how should they live, what their family tenets are going down 3 and 4 generations. We have to know that when we nurture our children, they say nurturing our children. When you nurture your child, you're actually nurturing your great grandchild, because you're coding in that baby how they're going to grow up and nurture their children and so forth and so on.
I love it.
And when we go to Africa, what we do learn is that these people have not lost contact with their culture. Like the average African speaks multiple languages, but they can recall their generations going back 13, 15 generations.
Mm.
That's remarkable to know like all the back to like the 16. They can just call names. They can go all the way back.
Yes.
One time I know you have to go, but
no, we're good, man. We're good.
On this one trip that we went to Ghana, and we had a group of African Americans there. I have it on tape, probably somewhere in my videos on Facebook. And we were sitting with a local chief, and one of the questions someone asked him was, the Africans that were their Africans stolen from your village during, the European slave trade? He said, yes, it would be. He was talking through a translator. My partner, right, was translating for him. Like, yes. He said, do you know the names? No, he said, do y'all know how many people was? So he responded. He said, not only do we know how many people it were, we know their names. We know the year. The year was 1828, and it was like 7 people, and they knew all the names. They recalled the names of every person that was taken from their village.
Wow.
And every chief from that time is a part of his a part of a ritual
Yes.
to remember all of these names going back over 150 years.
Wow.
And so another remarkable story was that one sister I was talking to a brother one time, and he had referred to one of the sisters we was with as fat. He said, "Where's the fat woman?" I was like, "Yo, brother, you can't call that sister fat, man. You out your mind? You can't call no black woman from America fat." He was like, "Well," and she wasn't really fat, but he just used that word. And he said, "Well, that's not really a point of contention for us in our culture." He said, "For us, it's not about her weight. For us, is how well she can demonstrate her culture. That if I can take this woman home to my mother,
Yes.
and my mother can ask her questions about her culture, and she knows it, then that is more attractive to us than her weight."
Got you.
I was like, man, this is remarkable. We don't live that way in America.
No.
We
Wow.
yeah, like I like her, she's cute. All right, it'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
so I would just like to take like families to take that with them, that we have to do way more family development. We have to do more family work and making sure that our children, that all of this violence and stuff that's going on out in the community, we can continue to blame the schools. We can continue to flood money into the schools. But the most important thing is the family is the first shrine.
Yes.
Family is your first line of defense. So if your family structure is under attack, then the community is going to be under attack. We have to take care of our families. We have to go get our boys. And not so much you, Kevin, going to get somebody's boys, but that you have to go get the boys in your family. I have to get the boys in my family. We have to go home.
Yes.
Stop spending time in the community. Go home and let's fix home.
Yes.
And then we can go back out into the community stronger. That's my
No,
word.
I love it, man. I love it. Listen, brother, thank you for gracing this platform. You are always welcome. And, you had mentioned some other little folks. If you think those other folks would be of interest to be on the platform, I'll send you the link. Get it to them. I'd love to host them on the platform, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, brother. And I think we should, I would love to come back, and I would love to have a conversation specifically about what we need to do in the city of Trenton, or not like what we need to do, but just some ideas and things to kind of talk about, like, current, like what's going on, and there's a possible solution. They can try this or something to that effect.
I would love that. The platform is always open to you. Text me and give me some dates as to when we can sit down and do that.
All right, brother. I appreciate your time, and thank you for the opportunity.
All right, thank you, man. We'll talk and text in a minute. Okay.
All right, take care.
All right, beloved. Thank you.
All right, yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.
That concludes another episode of The Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. We hope you found this episode informative and enlightening. If you have any questions or comments about any of our episodes, please call 609-731-9311 or email kevin@minding-our-business.com. We look forward to joining us for our next one. Until next time.